Hey, Tommy, did you know that there are 1,606 G-Wagons for sale on AutoTrader, according to published reports?
Wow, that is absolutely crazy considering it's a very high-end and relatively rare vehicle.
Yeah, we just had it here. Mercedes was kind enough to lend it to me to drive from California. So when this story popped up, I thought it was an interesting and noteworthy topic to discuss because it seems like G-Wagon prices are in free fall.
So this was initially reported, we found by the New York Post, and here is the headline: Crypto Bros offloading G-Wagons luxury cars amid FTX crash. So the world of Bitcoin is big and confusing, cryptocurrency, right? And there was a cryptocurrency called FTX, which recently had this big implosion. And it looks like as a result of that, a lot of crypto-rich folks are unloading their cars quickly. Should I read some of the story?
Yeah, I think it's an exchange, FTX. It's not a currency, but go ahead, read the story.
Okay, so crypto bros are running on empty and appear to be offloading their fancy cars amid the fallout from the FTX implosion, which has rippled through the cryptocurrency market and caused the value of digital coins to plummet. An uptick in like new models sought after luxury cars have hit resale sites such as Auto Tempest in recent weeks, but they're not fetching the premium they once did. The Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon, the unofficial new money badge of the crypto rich, was once valued around $300,000 in the resale market, but now is closer to $200,000, experts say. Other vehicles like the Lamborghinis and McLarens are also taking a hit.
So that's what I wanted to talk about because I think it's not just, Tommy, the G-Wagon. I think what we're going to see is an implosion of the bubble that we've recently seen for other high-end cars. So before we delve deep into this, let's talk about what makes the G-Wagon so iconic. And I had some thoughts about that.
Yeah.
So first of all, for a car to be iconic, I think it has to have three things, and the G-Wagon has them, right? It has to do what it says it's going to do, right? And it has to do it well. So a G-Wagon can be used from anything from off-roading, which I just did in Moab, and it was exceptional at it, to taking the kids to school. So it has to do what it says it's going to do, and it has to do it well. Then the other part of it, it has to be reliable. As you know, the G-Wagon has been built in the same factory, the Magna factory in Austria, since its beginning. And it is, probably the most solid, bulletproof constructed Mercedes over the last 30 years of production.
Okay.
And then the key to making it iconic is it has to be fun. And the G-Wagon is fun, right? It makes you feel special when you're driving it. And if you can combine all three of those things, you've got a classic vehicle. Because the temptation would be to say that the reason the G-Wagon prices went up so high was because, well, it was like a car to show off if you were a crypto bro or if you're a Kardashian. But underneath that, the market was supported by a vehicle that did everything it was designed to do, did it reliably, and made you feel special and fun driving it.
Now, that is a very logical argument.
Okay, but you disagree.
I think the reason that the G-Wagon has been so hot is because it's been supported by crypto bros and Kardashians driving in Beverly Hills. But the fact of the matter is the G-Wagon is a $150,000 vehicle. There's no reason it should be selling at $300,000. It's not a $300,000 vehicle. It's a fantastic off-road vehicle, but it's a status statement first and foremost. It is the ultimate expression of what the Range Rover used to be. It's if you've made it past Range Rover money, you buy a G-Wagon, and then you drive it down the streets of Los Angeles. And that really, in my opinion, is what has solidified it as being such an iconic vehicle.
So there are really three parts to this market, right? And this goes for Lamborghinis as well. It goes for McLarens, right? There's the enthusiasts, which I consider us to be, right? Which love the vehicle for what it does. Then there are the crypto bros, which are people who love the status, right? And then there are investors, right? People who bought these things to either hold on to as a way to hedge their bets or to flip as a way to make money. And I would say with this story, what we're seeing now is the collapse or the implosion of that bubble, which a lot of these cars were in, right? You had to wait a long time, for instance, to get a Porsche GT3, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then you had to go pay your dealer $50,000 over sticker just to get an allocation for the car. And then, that doesn't include maybe a markup that the dealer would add to the car.
Sure.
So I think this is a real and tangible sign that those days are over. So if you're holding on to GT3s or GT3 RSs because you think that the value of that Porsche is going to go, up and you're just going to flip it, I think you might be in for a surprise. Let me put it that way.
Well, it's an interesting discussion, and I think that a lot of it was the chip shortages, right? The economy was doing really well, so you had a lot of wealthy people that wanted that status symbol but couldn't get it, and then it inflated the prices. So, as the article mentioned, and as we've seen in the past, we'd often find G-Wagons new stickering for, in some cases, double their MSRP. So you're talking about a $180,000 G, which would be stuck on a lot for $300,000 or $350,000, and oftentimes the companies or the dealers would get that money for it. I can't talk today because that was the only option if you wanted a G.
Yeah, and let's talk about the G specifically. There are basically three models, right? There's a G55, which starts at about, I want to say 150 to 175.
It's a G550.
G550.
So that starts at like 130. And then there's the
G63 AMG,
Yeah.
which starts at about 225.
Sure.
And then there's one we had, which is the G63 squared with portal axles, and that one stickered at 359, but started at 350. So that was the ultimate expression of the G. And this is the new generation of G, right? They swapped it out a few years ago, made it wider, made it a little bit more livable. The previous G, while it was iconic, it was a hard to live with vehicle because it was super narrow and tight and had a lot of kind of space issues. If I were honest about it.
Now,
Still my dream car, by the way.
yeah, well, you like it because of the technological the amazing off-road capability of the vehicle. Now, I'm also interested in, it's not only the G which has really taken a dive, it's also, according to this post, other models like McLaren's and even the Lamborghini Urus. So these cars are now, at least according to this, falling in value pretty rapidly.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, this is an indication of things to come, right? We see certainly the world economy starting to, I don't want to use the word meltdown, but certainly slow down, if not reverse itself. We see interest rates going very high. So let's say that you didn't quite have the money for a G63, but you stretched by getting a loan. Now that money's going to cost a lot more to borrow. And the upshot of all this is if you're a guy like me and you who love the G, so look, I got to confess. When the last G-Wagon Squared came out, I actually drove over Nathan.
Nathan, what are you doing?
This is why I get the big bucks.
I'm not sure about that.
All right, bring it on.
Lay down.
Whoa!
Slower.
Slow.
Slower, slower, slower.
Oh, Mercedes tastes so good on the other side. It's delicious.
It was so cool, right? It had such a huge amount of ground clearance, and I always wanted that one. And those guys came out at about 225,000. I thought to myself, that's going to go to like Kardashians, and they're going to get bored of it. It's going to go to YouTubers, they're going to get bored of it. So when the thing drops to below 100,000, then maybe I can actually start to like fantasize about owning it. But it never did. It just went straight up. It went from 240 to 250, 260 to 300,000. And when the new one came out, that rate just accelerated. So I'm a little happy to see these prices coming back down to earth because I feel as an enthusiast, I want the car for what it does, not for what it says about me. In fact, I don't like what it says about me because all these people are driving it around, never taking it off-road, right? Never using it for its off-road capabilities, but using it for its status symbol value.
Yeah. Interesting point. Yep. And there's a couple CEOs that are watching the prices of, for example, big dealership networks, right? And for example, this gentleman saw one that sold for $179,000, down from $240,000 last year. So certainly prices are coming down. But guys, let us know what you think in the comment section below. What other vehicles do you think are going to start to come down in value if this is indeed the trend?
Well, you could take an educated guess, right? I think there's been a huge bubble in Porsche GT3s, GT4 RSs, GT3 RS, all those vehicles where they're commanding anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000 just over sticker for the allocation. Forget about the actual over sticker price. I think the Hummer EV is another one. I think the Raptor R might be on that list as well. The Bronco Raptor would be another one that I would see. All these vehicles where it's getting to be so insane that normal people can't even begin to afford them. And then hopefully it trickles down to even more basic vehicles like give me an example of the new Corolla GR, the new Corolla GR, the Honda Type R, right?
Yep.
Where dealers are asking 10, maybe 20, maybe even the BRZ twins, right? That would be great to see those come back to earth. And maybe this time next year when we're sitting here, there'll actually be dealers discounting them as opposed to putting massive $50,000 price tags over sticker on them, which I think in the long run is not good for anybody except for the dealer.
Well, let us know what you think in the comments, guys. As always, this has been Tommy.
And Roman saying thanks for watching, and see you next time. I checked my phone. I've got like a little alerts for cheap G-Wagons.
Yep.
I'm not seeing any yet.
Yeah, not yet. They're not that cheap.
All right, yeah. Ciao.